It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest and actually a new month. We have a new main stage and a new summit. This is the Year of the Dragon Summit Guide. Let's go. All right, before we get into this, quick shout out to Simgii. Simgii actually helped me out a lot with the cuts and the lines on this particular summit guide. So please go check out his channel for full summit runs and some of the best driving you'll ever see. A link is in the description down below. All right, let's get into the cars first. The summit bundle is going to get you the Audi RS3 LMS. It's a racing car. It's garbage, but you have to use it. And then the Yamaha YZR M1, which is also a racing bike. And again, it's fine. You have to use it. There's a lot of bike stuff in this one. The additional vehicles are the Suzuki GSX-RR, the Audi e-tron, or the Gallardo, or the Camaro SS, whichever one is better for you and your driving style. And then a slalom vehicle of your choice. I used the RB14 Disruption Edition, and preferably you need Scorebreaker with Skilled and Pure on that particular car. If you don't have an Alpha Grand Prix car with that on it, then get whatever car you have that has Scorebreaker, use that as your slalom vehicle. You also need the P51 Mustang with Scorebreaker on it if you have it, but if you don't have Scorebreaker, it's okay. You'll be fine without it. You can get a lot of points even without Scorebreaker, but that is the fastest plane in the game, so use that one. And then you're going to need an escape vehicle of your choice. For this one, I use the Agera R, but if you don't like the Agera, you like some other one like Cento or something like that, just use whatever hypercar is your favorites. And for the affixes on your parts, you should have Nitro Chemist with Pure and Extra Pump. All right, the keys to this summit are shortcuts, resets, and try to have a high pain tolerance because this one is going to be a bit frustrating. The escape alone will cause some people to put their controller through their monitors. All right, here are the pro settings. All right, the first event is called Qilong. This race is an absolute frustration fest, and it's with a car that is just terrible to drive. That being said, it is a lapped race, so I'll let my first full lap play for you so you can see all of the cuts and the reset points. Enjoy. Real quick, about 70% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you appreciate the information that we're providing, please consider it. We do put out multiple Motorfest videos every single day. The next race is called WANG, and yep, that's exactly what it's called. For this one, I'm using the Suzuki GSX-R. So anyone who doesn't like the whole reset thing is really going to hate my advice on this race. I know some people will kill me in the comments, but I'm telling you, the fastest times are 100% being done with what I'm about to show you, so informing the rest of you is my way of evening the playing field a little bit. Alright, for this race, there are so many resets and cuts that it doesn't really make sense to call out every single percentage. I think the best way for me to explain what's going on here is to show you something that we basically discovered while doing this. If you time your reset so that you get the crash animation and sound, when you spawn back in, you're going to receive a full tank of NOS, which makes it viable to basically reset every single corner with these bikes. Obviously, because you are getting a full tank of NOS when you spawn back in, you're going to want to empty your tank on the way to that reset, like you see me doing here. Trust me, this is really not racing necessarily. Obviously, the people with the most skill and can take the other corners well are going to have faster times. The people who can spawn in faster will have faster times, and maybe that's not super fair, but this is what it takes to get a fast time on this particular course. And I know that it's cheesy, and I know some of you guys are going to complain in the comments, but this is the way it's done, and it's my job to tell you guys. So there you have it. All right, I'll let the rest of this run play out so you can see exactly which corners I cut and reset. Enjoy. Alright, the next event is called QINQ or QINQ. I'm not really sure how you say it, but for this one you're going to be using the Yamaha from the Summit bundle, and for this event it's just all about maintaining speed. There are literally no cuts on this race. Your lines are just extra important. One mistake on these bikes and it can put you in the grass. I suggest really paying attention also to your NOS usage. Make sure you are always at or at least near top speed on the sections where you can be, and use your NOS to get there. That's honestly all I can say about this race. It really is going to come down to your skill. Alright, the next event is called HUANG, and for this one you can use a couple of different cars. I recommend the Hoonigan e-tron because it's just a little bit easier to drive off-road, and some of these cuts are off-road, and for me personally I ran a faster time that way. I think I might go back though and do this with the Gallardo. So whichever car is your favorite or whichever car you can drive better, I would do it with that one. A lot of people also are using the Camaro, but the Camaro is extremely tough to use off-road. So I definitely recommend either the e-tron or the Gallardo. Alright, at 1%, you're going to want to cut to the right directly at the checkpoint and go across the grass. At 7%, you'll go straight and then slow down for this turn. It's actually faster to not reset on this one. At 41%, you can cut across the grass, and just keep in mind, you can go wide to the left of this checkpoint. At 67%, you kind of have a decision to make. You can stay on the road here for a faster time, or you can cut to the right and use air NOS for a straighter line. Personally, I was faster by taking the off-road path, especially with this car because it understeers a lot and it struggles with those turns. Maybe if you're in the Gallardo or the Camaro, it's probably faster to stay on the road. And then finally at 80%, you can actually reset this checkpoint. Again, it's going to depend on which car you're in. If you're in the Gallardo or the Camaro, I think it's actually faster to use the gutter on this turn, but for the e-tron, you definitely want to use a reset. Alright, the next event is called ZANG Long. At 25%, you can cut to the left across this field. At 34%, you can do the same thing and cut left across the field. At 51% with this car, you can reset at this checkpoint. It will put you at a dead stop, but the car's acceleration is good enough to make it viable. If you feel confident in hitting the gutter, it actually is a little bit faster to slow down and take the gutter. There's also a crazy cut here. If you want to hit this rock on the left, you can jump through this checkpoint over the barrier and skip that tight switchback turn altogether. However, I was not successful in doing this. It's really hard to do, but if you want to attempt it a couple of times, that is up to you. At 60%, this is where things get very crazy. You cut to the right of the barrier and find your way down the hill. Even if you take this slow, it's going to be faster than taking the windy road. Then at 77%, it's actually faster to take the grass cut here for this car because it does understeer quite a bit. And finally, at 92%, you can take this dirt cut to the right, or you can stay on the track. If you decide to stay on the track, you have to hit the gutters perfectly, otherwise it's actually faster to take the dirt. Alright, and the last event is called Phi or Fei Long. Not really sure on this one either. This one has a few of those NOS resets as well. At 22%, you can cut directly towards the checkpoint and reset at the wall. At 33%, you can cut across the grass and then dump your NOS and of course reset when you get to the checkpoint wall. And then you're basically going to do the same thing on the following 4 turns, basically all the way down this hill. The only one that I would recommend not resetting is the one at the bottom of the hill at 46%, because you can actually get a nice line and a lot of speed and then cut the grass corner on the turn right after that. And that's basically it for this one. All right, and for the feats, let's start with the slalom. This slalom scores better from the opposite direction. You're gonna wanna use a car with score breaker and just make sure you hit all of the checkpoints. I found it much easier to avoid traffic in hood view, and I recommend using an Alpha Grand Prix car as it will be the best for basically all of the road slaloms. If you don't have score breaker on AGP, then use a car type where you do have score breaker. You're gonna have better scores with that than a faster car without score breaker. All right, moving on to the low altitude. This one is quite easy. The summit points rewarded are very generous. I do not have score breaker on planes, and I didn't fly upside down, which actually allows you to gain more points by giving you an additional 0.6 on your score multiplier. So basically, regular flying, no score breaker, and I got 154,000 points. Now obviously on these, the goal is to stay as low to the ground as possible, and if you really want to go for a high score, you can fly upside down and again stay as low as possible. The max multiplier for flying regular is 3.0, and the max multiplier for flying upside down is 3.6. All right, moving into the escape. For this one, the best path is to make the jump onto the highway. Now to do this, you need to do 2 things. You need to head towards these 2 poles right here, and then you need to pull up on your car and use nitro in the air to make the jump. It is a very frustrating escape, and it will likely take you a few attempts, but it is worth it because if you can make that jump, then you're just on the highway and you just need to survive the traffic. You can also jump off of the highway at the end to the road down below for a few extra 100 yards. Now for this one, I did do it in the Agera R, but you can use the hypercar of your choice. So long as you're pulling up on your car and using nitro in the air, you should be fine. All right, here are my final scores. And lastly, don't forget that you can DM me with any questions. I'm here to help on these summits. I answer every single direct message that comes my way, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, or Discord. So go ahead and send me a DM if you have any questions. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.